They got in our network Christmas Eve. And ironically, these organizations know when businesses are open and closed, and school districts, and at least in the state of Texas and probably across the country, are closed for a week or two over the holidays. It was determined that they got on one of our servers on Christmas Eve, and they were just putting their feelers out and so forth. And we got word of it on February 7th. And so we gathered the troops, pulled pretty much an all-nighter that night, where we were able to ultimately stop the control and command of what the Royal Group was trying to target.
Mobile workforces, cloud applications, and digitalization are changing every aspect of the modern enterprise. And with radical transformation come new business risks. Welcome to Hybrid Identity Protection, the premier podcast for cybersecurity pros charged with defending hybrid identity environments. Presented by Semperis, the pioneers of identity-driven cyber resilience for the hybrid enterprise. And now, here's your host, 15-time Microsoft MVP and Active Directory security expert, Sean Dubey.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the HIP Podcast. Planning for incident response has unfortunately become an essential task for IT professionals and cybersecurity professionals. It's not a stretch, though, to believe that they spend much more time thinking about incident response and wondering what it might be like to work through an incident. My guest today is BJ Welsh of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District in North Texas. He recently spoke at the Semperis User Conference about his experience working through a cyber attack at the beginning of this year and the lessons that the school district has taken away from the experience. Welcome, BJ.
Thank you, Sean.
So why don't you introduce yourself, describe your role at the school district?
Yeah, my name is BJ Welsh. I'm the Executive Director of Technology for the Carrollton-Farmers Branch School District. We're a school district of about 25,000 students and about 4,000 staff members. We're K-12. We have 24 elementaries, 5 high schools, 6 middle schools, and several service centers and administration type buildings in our district. Your school districts like DISD, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, they're considerably larger than us, but we're considered a medium-sized school district in the state of Texas.
What about your IT infrastructure?
We have 4 people on our service desk. I refer to them as our front line of defense for our technology department. They answer phone calls from staff, students, parents, respond to emails and instant messaging type notifications. We also have 5 network engineers, which that I've referred to as the wizards behind the curtain. They are responsible for keeping our entire network up and operational. Then we have our boots on the ground folks, to where we have 16 computer technicians that are assigned to 3 or 4 different campuses out in our district, and they're responsible for everything technology related at those campuses. We are a one-to-one district, which means we provide a device for every student pre-K through 12th. Pre-K through first grade, we give iPads to, and second grade through 12th, we give a Chromebook device to.
What about your Active Directory infrastructure?
We are on-prem with our Active Directory. We are currently on-prem with our Exchange, but looking at migrating to O365. We have a fairly new technology center that we've been in for about the last 2.5 years. We moved in during COVID. We're very fortunate. We have state-of-the-art network equipment, VMware environment, Cisco on the back end from a networking route switch firewall perspective. And we have 40 gigs of internet bandwidth, 220 gig ISPs that we leverage for all of our staff and students to be able to access the curriculum out in the cloud.
So you have an on-premises Active Directory. How many domain controllers do you have?
We have approximately 8 domain controllers.
Right. Okay. And you had mentioned you're evaluating moving Exchange to Office 365 Exchange Online. Do you have a hybrid footprint right now?
No, we do not.
Right. Okay. So you're pretty much on-prem, but you're evaluating your next steps in that direction.
Correct.
So why don't you describe sort of the beginnings or the underpinnings of all of this back, as you described to me at our user conference back in Austin in the fall of last year.
Sure. On February 7th, about 5:30 in the evening, I received a call from Region 10, Homeland Security, and Texas DIR. And I'll piece those three different entities together. Region 10, because we're part of the consortium with Region 10 and in the school in the state of Texas. Particular regional centers help support school districts in many different ways. Maybe one regional center will specialize in E-rate. Maybe another one will specialize in cybersecurity. Maybe another one with fiber, part of a consortium. Our Region 10, we're part of the Region 10 consortium. So our internet comes from Region 10, which is a Zayo connection.
So this is a state of Texas infrastructure, this Region 10?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And Region 10 is basically responsible for all this, help support all the ISDs from up and down 35. If you're on the east side of 35, up in the DFW area, you're more than likely going to be Region 10, going all the way up to the Sherman Denison area. If you're on the west side of 35, our neighboring school district, Louisville ISD, they're actually Region 11 because they reside on the west side of 35. So there's boundaries that dictate where the regional service centers are.
And this is an artifact of the Texas DIR is what is. Can you describe what the DIR is?
Yeah, the Texas DIR is they're pretty much responsible for everything cybersecurity related in the state of Texas in our school systems. So I mentioned earlier that I got a call from them as well from Homeland Security, Region 10. Homeland Security was involved because about 2 years ago, we signed up with Homeland Security to provide free penetration tests on our network. So they were very familiar with our IP scheme and so forth, and they provided monthly reports to us on vulnerabilities. So, like I said, I received that phone call, that dreaded phone call. It was discussed that there were fingerprints of the Royal Group that was in our network. Again, this call was on February 7th. No data had been compromised. There had been no ransom or anything at this point, just that they've detected fingerprints of Royal in our network. They got in our network Christmas Eve. And ironically, these organizations know when businesses are open and closed, and school districts, and at least in the state of Texas and probably across the country, are closed for a week or two over the holidays. It was determined that they got on one of our servers on Christmas Eve, and they were just putting their feelers out and so forth. And we got word of it on February 7th. And so we gathered the troops, pulled pretty much an all-nighter that night, where we were able to ultimately stop the control and command of what the Royal Group was trying to target. We isolated networks. We were very fortunate because we had learned about Semperis at the TETL conference the previous year. TETL conference is the Texas Education of Technology Leaders. And in October, November of 2022 is when we started standing up Semperis from a proactive perspective. So that night of the call, I had Ross Perry, who was one of our senior network engineers, immediately get on the phone with Semperis engineers and start locking down, as they were already doing, locking down certain aspects of our Active Directory. We ran Purple Night in the very beginning, determined where a lot of our vulnerabilities were, and we had a lot of those locked up. But Ross, working with the Semperis engineers, was very, very beneficial. I had another engineer that was working on Cisco-related firewall stuff. I had another engineer working on servers. So we whiteboarded out and divided and conquered to where we were. We relied on our cybersecurity specialists. I say we were lucky because not only did we have Semperis already installed and ready to go, we were in a pilot with CrowdStrike. And we were able to blow through SCCM CrowdStrike out to all of our computers in a matter of an hour. So that helped us from a cybersecurity perspective. We were able to collect all that data and we were able to stop the control and command that this particular organization was trying to gather intel on.
So this particular group, I believe we mentioned, was determined to be the Royal Group. And you told me before our conversation here that you were, as you have described, you were able to do this containment while keeping their command and control open. Is that correct?
That's correct. We didn't want to just go in and just cut them off immediately, because when you cut them off immediately, it sends up it's raising the red flag that they know something is up, that there may be onto them, and then at that point they are able to execute the potential of a ransomware attack. We segmented them on. We knew that the computers and the servers that were beaconing per se, and we allowed them to continue beaconing only out to that actually the beaconing IPs that it was trying to hit. We continued to allow that until we were able to get some additional strategies and some additional technologies in place to be able to combat this.
You mentioned that you were alerted by DHS that they had seen unusual in activity in your environment because you were part of a program that does regular scans of your environment. Can you describe that program a little bit more, what it's all about?
Yeah, it's a penetration test, and basically it's a free program that Homeland Security provides to K-12 school districts across the country. I don't know if they still do, but at the point that they did, and we gave them our IP addresses, our external IP addresses. We signed up for the vulnerability scans, and they provided us monthly basis vulnerabilities that we had in our network that we were able to combat and to plug, and maybe to shut down some old servers where there were some vulnerabilities. A lot of school districts aren't aware that they provide this, but they provide it to school districts, and it's a good thing that we had signed up for it, because if we did not have that information, we would probably be in a different situation than we are today.
Exactly. That's what you're talking about, being fortunate. You were fortunate, but you were also prepared with their ability to do this regular pen testing. Even with that, that's a dwell time of about 40 days before the notification. So fortunately, they didn't turn around and attack immediately upon initial access. I don't suppose you remember the name of the DHS program.
No, I do not.
Okay, but still, that's great information for interested parties from this recording that are part of school districts to look a little more into.
Yep, absolutely. I would highly encourage anybody that any CTO or director of technology that is in a school district to investigate DHS and how they can help support school districts.
Certainly, what made the news in North Texas was the fact that the city of Dallas was broader than the independent school district. Right? Yes, they were badly hit by it, an article just came out 4 days ago in the Dallas Morning News, relaying what the city of Dallas gave out about the attack, saying that it was also the Royal Group in this situation.
Yes, unfortunately, my heart goes out to the city of Dallas, and in any organization, any K-12 school district. We've had other school districts in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, around the state, and for that matter, from coast to coast across our country. And school districts are vulnerable. A couple of reasons why they're vulnerable is one, these organizations, these groups feel like that not enough attention is paid to cybersecurity. In a lot of cases, that's true. That's correct. But another reason is student information. There's nothing more valuable than a kindergartner, first grade, or second grade's PII. They gather that information, they get that information, they can literally sit on it for 5, 10, 15 years. At that particular time, nobody realizes that anything had ever taken place. And then when that student turns 18, 19, 20 years old, all of a sudden they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. So that's one of the reasons why school districts are hit is to gather student information. It's also to get parent information as well, because we have school districts have to gather certain types of parent information that in many cases is PII, and to register for schools. School districts are very technology forward thinking in a lot of senses. Credit card payments. So there's a lot of information that needs to continue to be kept secure from a K-12 school district perspective.
It is a perfect target for threat actors for many reasons, most of which you described, both the value of the data and, depending on the school district, the relative security and workload of the staff. The article in the morning news said that the city of Dallas listed at least 17 systems that were down at some point during the ransomware attack, including city fax and print services, police surveillance cameras, public safety file sharing, the building permitting system, library management services, fire station alerts systems, police and fire mobile data computers, court-ordered warrant management systems, and the e-pay systems for residents to pay their water bills and bills from other departments. So they are spending a lot of time climbing out of this, which sounds like the same threat actor group that targeted you a little bit later in the year. Do you have any big takeaways from your experience that Carrollton-Farmers branch is now doing differently or beefing up or changing?
Yes, we're doing all the above. We were very fortunate in May. We went to our board, and our board was very gracious. Take a special lead role in enhancing our cybersecurity in our school district. And we've been able to put a lot of additional security measures in place internally and externally. Semperis is one of those products, and we'll continue to try lead the leading edge from a cybersecurity perspective in our school district in order to keep our staff, students, and our families as safe as possible.
Well, thank you, BJ. Thanks for your time, and it's great to hear the story. Of course, it's scary to hear the story, but it's great to hear that the story ended well for you and for Carrollton-Farmers branch, and of course for all of your parents and students involved.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Sean, and it was great visiting with you today.
Thanks for joining us on the Hybrid Identity Protection Podcast with Sean Dubey. Be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Visit hipconf.com, that's HIPCONF.com, to learn about upcoming events, view expert presentations, and take part in the conversation.